Welcome to the Ill Noise Business Playbook. I am here with Jim from Clarendale Senior Living. Jim, how you doing today, my man?
Thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. Before we get started, one of the things I enjoy talking to people about is, well, sports. Since I have sports figures behind me, I'm from the Chicagoland area. Been a big Bears, Bulls, and we won't tell you the baseball team I like, but I think you figured that one out already in the pre-interview. Talk to me a little bit about your love for Chicago sports as well.
Oh my goodness, I love for Chicago sports. I should say love or hate. I don't know. It's a love-hate relationship
Yes.
sometimes for sure, but I mean that's something that in my house that we've always really enjoyed, always bonded over, especially having something to look forward to. Always kind of transitioned into the personal life too. Always love to be active and love to be in sports my entire life as well too. Transition it over to, into your working career as well. You love being a part of teams. I mean, at the end of the day, you love being able to see the teamwork, to see a common goal, get met and accomplished. And I think it always just kind of started with, getting to watch your favorite athletes on TV, right? And always being able to connect with them and say, hopefully I can do that one day. That would be really cool. And I'm blessed too. I have a older brother that was always very similar to it. Grown up in sports. He was like my idol growing up, and just loved being able to. Whenever he had a sporting event, I wanted to be there. I wanted to go see it, be supportive, and run around. And I loved watching his success as well. And the competitive side of me always said too, well, I can't wait to get to this point because I'm going to do it better.
Absolutely.
And so that little brotherly love as well too. So
right on. I have one sibling. He's a brother. He's 3 years older than me, and boy, oh boy, do we share a lot of similtimalities.
I can understand.
I remember that I had an opportunity to gain a couple inches on my brother, and I remember the first time in my life I beat him in any sport was basketball, and after that I don't think we ever played again. But it was like it was better than any championship I ever won.
It's a younger brother thing. Once you beat your older brother once or twice, you don't really tend to play him too much anymore, right?
Yes, yeah, they kind of put the kibosh on it. Well, Jim, I was telling you beforehand, I have had an opportunity to visit your facility, and very, very impressed with the way that your workers interact with not only visitors, but more importantly, with the clientele. So, if you can tell us a little bit about what inspired you to work at Clarendale and how things are going now that you guys are rocking and rolling over there.
Absolutely. So I guess to start is in senior living in general, I've been doing this about 15 years, not all with our management company. Our management company is Life Care Services. They're the third largest operator in the nation for senior living. Experience is everything for them. Mm-hmm. And that's something, as I've gone through my career, that's something I really valued, because one thing that's very common is that no matter where you go, no matter what community I've ever worked at or wherever you've gone, it's a big decision. And there is definitely a lot of different degrees of what people know, what questions they want to be informed on. And it's really an individual of what's important to them. So with that, I started my career in senior living as actually a floor tech or like housekeeper.
Okay.
Just kind of saw me through college and a little bit through high school, and just kept working in it. What always kept me in the business as it saw me through school, and a lot of life changes I have a 10-year-old daughter as well too, and she's a big part of the community as well. She loves coming in and bringing, seeing all the residents as well. A lot of times they end up hijacking her from me when I do bring her and say, having all the fun stuff. I'll catch her at bingo or whatever, and they're like, she's fine. Don't worry. She's with us, all that fun stuff. But, but anyway, you connect with the people. I oftentimes tell my teams, and it starts with the leadership. There's no doubt with that. And that's one thing I really value with Life Care Services as well, is I've had the experience to work for different companies. And one thing that's really stuck out with me is values and ethics are in the right place. So I've worked for others that maybe didn't quite feel that all the time, or wasn't consistent or anything like that. And so when I ended up finding Life Care Services on accident, but I worked at another assisted living community, probably about 45 minutes away from here, and that job was actually able to help me keep I got my 50-50 parenting time with my daughter. And when I had to move from about an hour south of Chicago up to the Algonquin area,
sure,
and or St. Charles area, and anyway, and that's when I first kind of got acclimated with senior living in terms of like assisted living and memory care and independent living. Before that, my experience was more of skilled nursing.
Okay.
So a little bit of a different setting. but a lot of the same values could be seen in both scenarios, where it's all about the people and about the care that's given. So from there, what's really been helpful is just learning what makes that impact on our resident lives. And I can tell you right now, it's not me and my role. It's not what the sticks and bricks, I guess I'll call it. It's nice to have. It's a nice to have, but what makes the biggest impact for our residents, whether it's someone who's been here for 5 years, 10 years, or someone who's been here 30 days, or is just in there looking, right, is those connections that they could get to make with not just other residents, but staff members as well. It's the people in the day-to-day interactions. That's what really makes a senior living experience. And that's what we promote here. That's what we try to push as much as we can, talking about like the sports and how that's impacted my life. And a lot of people have a similar background. It's all being a part of a team. We're all working together. We're all Team Clarendale. We're all here for one mission, and it's to provide the best senior living experience, because at the end of the day, like we talked about, it's a hard and big decision to make. And when you make that decision, you want to feel like you've made the right one.
Right. And
that I would say is probably the biggest key, is just building a culture of being warm, friendly, coming from we're big on hospitality. There's a big difference between hospitality and customer service, and that's what we always try to push. Now, we also know we're not the right fit all the time, but we're going to try, even if we're not the right fit, we're going to try and make sure that we get you hooked up with the correct places.
Jim, how do you get the word out? How do you, usually when I'm talking to companies, I'm asking them to increase their customer base. So I think that's a little bit, we can kind of switch gears a little bit as far as customer base, but obviously if you're going to have a senior living facility, and once again, a really wonderful, clean, friendly, warm, you're doing a good job leading the way, my man. But how do you really kind of get the word out and really kind of get more eyes on your business so that we can continue to make sure that you can get, fully stocked there, you can have as many residents as possible, being as happy and healthy and, living out those last stages of their life with dignity and with love?
Yeah, I would say the biggest thing actually for senior living in general is just, and this is for any community, is it's that word of mouth.
Yeah.
Word of mouth, I would say, is the most important thing. Yet we obviously, we know we're big into Google SEO and all that fun stuff, and we can make a marketing plan and execute it to its finest. But I can tell you the most impactful and most helpful thing is that word of mouth. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people, move in here. I'm here because my friend's mom lived here, or in your memory care neighborhood, and they had such a great experience. And to be honest, I'll go check somewhere else, but this is where we really want to be. That word of mouth is just by far the best thing in terms of growing our customer base and continuing to serve as many residents as we can is that's the most impactful and helpful. I will say, not everybody's in the same point. We definitely can get inquiries of, I need a place in 2 days to 2 weeks, to I'm just starting my search and I might be moving in 2 years. So there's different degrees of it as well. But every time someone comes through our doors, we want to provide that positive experience and in the hopes of people spreading that good word of mouth about our community.
Hey, Jim, you've been doing this for quite a while. You say that, you kind of started from the ground up. What sort of changes have you seen in the field, and what sort of changes do you anticipating happening in the future in your industry?
Yeah, so that's a great question. Senior living in general is one of the fastest growing industries. It's no secret that a lot of people have seen them in their own neighborhoods. Oh, there's another assisted living community popping up. There's a reason for that. There is the expectation within the industry of, hey, there's gonna be a lot of baby boomers coming in that are gonna need these services here, and there's a reason why people are investing into it. Companies are investing in it, but there's definitely not every community is the same. I can definitely say that, and so one thing I do see with, I think there will be I think demand will continue to grow in the industry for a while, but I also see a lot of challenges as well too. Staffing is definitely one of the biggest challenges, just like every other industry right now. And I think that what's one of the more important things that we need to focus on is continuing to build that culture, because it doesn't just affect our residents. People want to work for good companies too. Just as much as a resident wants to live in a good community, it's going to be really important that we remain employee focused. I think that's going to be the biggest key for for the industry for successful communities.
Jim, again, I'm going to have to stop by your facility because I need to meet that woman that literally changed my life for that moment that I was at your ribbon cutting. Tell you, I wish I knew who she was, because if you need somebody to head your sales team, I've got a wonderful person for you in that lady. But tell us another story about a resident, about just something that's occurred while you've been at this facility, that, and even in the industry, something that really stands out. In order to kind of work with the kind of individuals that you're working with, it takes a lot of patience, it takes a lot of empathy, a lot of compassion, a lot of kindness. I mean, it really kind of takes a special person, which I think is a testimony to who you kind of are as a person, just to want to embrace and kind of support these individuals and give them that dignity they need at the end. But give us a fun story. Give us something that sticks to you, as far as knowing, hey, I'm doing the right thing, and here's an example of why.
It's last night.
All right.
Last night was a little bit of a longer night for me, truthfully, and I got a call from one of our residents that said, "Hey, can you come up and talk to me?" And and this resident, I never really hear. She doesn't complain. She's always been happy go lucky, and so it did stick out to me a little bit, like, oh, she needs a little extra TLC today. So let me go make sure I go up and talk to her and see her. There was something that happened she was a little, wanted to talk to me about, talk it through, which is perfectly fine.
Sure.
But she ended our conversation with, it came from her home of 75 years. And she told me, I'm so comfortable with you, with your team, and again, I will always say it's the workers, it's
Absolutely.
the people having the day-to-day interactions that make the biggest impact. So I will always give credit there first. And what she said is, that's right. That's exactly it. And she, in this one just got me, like, this, it just had a moment of, like, this is why we do this. And even though she was facing a challenge of something that was a little bit more difficult and didn't, and she had some uncomfortable feelings about it, right? And in this new challenge. And anyways, she ended up she ended the conversation, with, I've lived, one of my biggest fears was coming to a community, because I lived in my home for 75 years, and I lived on my own for a little bit after her husband had passed. And she ends up telling me, she goes, I could not be happier living here. She's been here for a couple of years now, and she said, everybody here is so friendly, so kind. And she's teared up on me a little bit, and she was just so complimentary of not just the staff members, but the residents. And she said, I have friends now I've had more friends now than I've had in high school. And just, I look forward to every day getting up to go see the staff members, to go see my friends.
That's awesome.
The wonderful activities. And yeah, it was a little bit of a later night, but I walked out saying, that's why we're here. That's why we do it. And then sure enough, her daughter walked in and reiterated a lot of the same things too. So it was really just a nice moment when you step back and think about it. And it was just a really nice, wholesome one. And a lot of times what's nice, I'm fortunate enough with this community that those are interactions that we get fairly often, and I'll never say that we're perfect by any means, but I am very confident in the team that we have built here and are continuing to build, and saying, hey, we can take a step back and say, maybe we can learn from our experiences of the past, and we're going to keep trying to make it better.
Awesome. Well, Jim, we're going to go ahead and we'll put all the contact information that we need for people to reach out to you. But I just wanted to thank you so much for spending some time with us today, and you have yourself a wonderful day. Really pleasure talking to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Joe. Really appreciate it.
You got it.